Today you have over 900 translations of the Bible in over 3,000 languages worldwide. These are often Americanized English Bible versions or translations, translated supposedly from the original ancient Aramaic, Hebrew, and Greek, or Latinized Greek, by the Roman Catholic monks, scribes like Martin Luther, Tyndale, Wycliffe, and so forth, and church fathers that followed after, like Eusebius and so forth. All of these versions stem or come from the Roman Catholic Church, who claim that they were the first to give the people the Bible. So these were rewritten, revised, etc. by church fathers throughout the centuries, these texts, etc. So there is a vast difference in what you accept, what you read, accept and believe as the truth, making it your personal truth via these Americanized English Bible versions. When compared to the original ancient, very old, therefore hidden and preserved for 2,000 years, Old Testament manuscripts, Tab Asherit, Lashana Atika, Cypriot, the Aramaic, and the New Testament Galilean-Aramaic by the Apostolic Church of the East. So today we are going to look into the Book of Revelation, the Galilean-Aramaic, translated into New English equivalent, comparing it to your modern Americanized Bible versions. We are striving to bring you exactly what it says in the nearest English equivalent according to the language that John the Revelator in the Book of Revelations wrote down in a particular language that he used. Possibly the Galilean-Aramaic, not the Greek. First, understand, if you are living in the West, you are probably educated with a West style or a Western mindset. So you have a Western mindset. This then is very different to a person from the Middle East who has a Middle Eastern education, mindset, okay, has a language, a culture, a belief system, and so forth, which is very Eastern because he has an Eastern mindset. Therefore they think and have views, opinions and perceptions, understandings, etc. in that particular Eastern mindset. What they might say, or what they might admit, that what they're expressing, yeah, it's false, it's a lie, but it's true. They may do that. We, with the Western mindset, would say, well, that's silly. That defies logic, common sense, reality. But that is truth to them. Even though it may appear to be a lie, it's truth to them. They also tend to express themselves, or what they have to say is expressed through idioms. What idioms? Well, basically that is the way that these people express themselves, but it doesn't necessarily mean what we in the West, with the Western mindset, think it means. So let's now examine the Book of Revelation 13:1-18. From the original ancient, therefore hidden preserved Galilean-Aramaic versus translated into the nearest English equivalent of versus your Modern Americanized English Bible versions. Keep in mind, it's in black and white text, plain as day. We will explain and define words, etc. as we look into that book. day 20, 25. Hello, welcome. Today you have over 900 translations or versions of the Bible in over 3,000 languages worldwide. These often are the Americanized English Bible versions, translated by Roman Catholic Church Fathers like Martin Luther, Tyndale, Wycliffe, etc., and then by other Church Fathers, Roman Catholic Church Fathers like Eusebius, Jerome, etc., down through the centuries. These all stem or come from the Roman Catholic Church, as we just stated, the Church Fathers, etc., throughout the centuries, down throughout the centuries. So there would be a vast difference in what you read and what you accept and believe from your Americanized English Bible versions. Okay. When compared to the original ancient, very old Tab Eshet, Lishana Atika Saprea, or the Aramaic Old Testament, and the hidden and preserved for over 2,000 years Galilean-Aramaic New Testament manuscripts translated by the native-born Aramaic-speaking translator from Mesopotamia, Syria, Victor Alexander. So today we are going to look into the book of Revelation, the Galilean-Aramaic, translated into the nearest English equivalent by Victor Alexander, and also your Modern Americanized English Bible versions, to reveal you exactly what it says and what it means in the nearest English equivalent. And it's not what you think it means, what people are saying today, that it's a conspiracy theory, the Antichrist is Trump, no, hang on a minute, it's Bill Clinton, no, wait, it's Justin Bieber, no, hang on, it's the car down the road. No. That's completely false. We'll show you why. But first, understand, if you are living in the West, you are probably educated, or you're definitely educated with a Western mindset, a Western style, therefore have a Western mindset. This then is very different to a person from the Middle East or the East, who has a Middle Eastern or Eastern education in their Eastern language, culture, traditions, belief system, perspectives, views, etc. Because they have an Eastern mindset, they've been educated that way. And they think, act, have views and opinions, understandings, etc. via their Eastern mindset. What they might admit, which doesn't make sense to us Westerners, okay, this text here, yeah, okay, it's a lie, okay, it's false, but it's true. To us, that's how they think, right? That's the difference between the Western mindset and the Eastern mindset, in most cases. We look at it and say, well, that defies logic, common sense, in reality, it don't make sense, and we don't believe it, right? But that's the difference in mindsets between the West and the East. And these people tend to express themselves through idioms, or via idioms. What are idioms? It's a form of expression that they use. But often it's like, we think we know what they're saying, but we actually don't. It's not what it doesn't appear to be what we think it is in their expression or their language. So let's now examine the book of Revelation, the Galilean-Aramaic, translated into nearest English equivalent by the native-born Aramaic-speaking translator Victor Alexander, who comes from Mesopotamia, Syria, and he's had over 20 years' experience in translating the Old Testament, Tab Eshet, the Aramaic, Lishana Atika Saprea, and the New Testament, Galilean-Aramaic, into the nearest English equivalent. A very trustworthy person in his translations, because he has mind focused, he won't add bias, prejudice, his own views, his own flavour, twist it, add to it, take away, and so forth. He wanted everyone to have that knowledge of what Yeshua Mashiach, or Jesus the Christ, Jesus the Messiah, and his disciples actually said and wrote down what they meant. And we'll compare this Aramaic, this Galilean-Aramaic revelations with your Modern Americanized English Bible version. Could be the NIV, could be any English version, and you could follow along with your English version to see that we're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes or give you a whole lot of hype or fluff. So, let's look at Revelation chapter 13, because we have found that there's a lot of fluff out there, conspiracy theories, saying, oh, it's this, it's that, oh, it's Trump, no, it's Elvis, no, hang on, it's Justin Bieber, no, the Antichrist is this guy and this guy. It's all baloney. Okay? It's steering you down the wrong path. Okay, Revelation chapter 13, 1. And the dragon, other verses in scripture say that old serpent, that reptilian, if you could put it that way, that snake, the devil, stood on the sand of the sea. Sand is like a nation, right? And sea is symbolic of people. So it was amongst the people, right, of a certain nation. And I, John, saw that demon rising out of the sea. Here's a footnote you indicated right here. When you go down and look at the footnotes that Victor Alexander always provides under every in every book, under every chapter. And it has here in the footnotes 13.1, literal Aramaic idiom or expression, inhumane creature or anti-man, meaning that it hates us, right? So here's an example. If you happen to die and you go to hell, right, or to oblivion, they're going to tear you apart because you're created by God. Why? What's the reason behind doing that? They hate you because you are created in the image of God. You had a body, you had a spirit, you had a soul. You are like God, made in the image of God, right? They didn't have a body, they didn't have a soul. They're just a spirit, right? So they hate you, okay? They're going to tear you apart. They hate God as well, because they were booted out of heaven, etc., etc., as the scriptures go. They were cast out, right? Satan was cast out because he wanted to be above God. He wanted to be God, sit above God, and so forth. So he's his anti. He's his adversary. He's his opposite. He's his counterfeit. He's his underminer. Okay, so John saw this demon rising out of the sea, symbolic for people. A nation, right? A bunch of people. Multitudes of people. That has 10 horns and 7 heads, and on its heads the names of blasphemies. So this could be some sort of conglomeration, like a city, a nation, or a gathering of peoples under 10 kings, 10 rulers. Okay, and on its head the names of blasphemies. Blasphemies, total rubbish. They took in a whole lot of bunk. And the demon, that man-hater, inhumane creature, that hates man, that John saw, resembled a tiger, and his feet were like those of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of lions. So you have, like, say, a conglomeration of different people, different events that went on supposedly, and these are all symbolic of how a tiger acts, how a bear acts, and a roaring lion acts, right? Goes around roaring and is trying to devour this person and these people and all that sort of stuff. You know, they show their claws, their teeth, they have power, all that sort of stuff. So it's probably like a conglomeration, Roman political and similar. And the dragon or the devil gave his power and his throne, gave him his power. Should be him here, it's a typo. Gave him his power and his throne and great authority, because behind this is that demonic force, right? That's what it's stating there. It gave a certain person his throne, enabled him to sit on a throne, and great authority, a power, rule over others. and one of its heads, think of it as one of those fantasy dragons that's got 7 heads, right? As though cut and dying, and from under its own death it pulled through, and the whole world, this is the known world, it's not like Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, or that sort of stuff, right? It's not saying that, it's the known world, conquered world, like when the Romans conquered this people, and the Greeks conquered these people, etc., etc., like that. It was the known world. Was enthralled in the wake of that demon. So we're going to have a look at the footnotes for that. Okay, so this was cut to death. Literal Aramaic idiomatic expression was cut to death. Okay, but it pushed out like another head. It's like that dragon or whatever it is in the mythical stories where you cut off one head and it has another head grows from it, right? Okay, so it was near dying, it was nearly wiped out, but it came back. Literal Aramaic idiom, earth. Okay, so it came back to life, right? It appeared that it lived again. Okay. So at some point, this particular conglomeration or this empire may have suffered, okay, or certain parts of it may have near been destroyed, but it came back. Or let's have a look at it again. In one of its heads, as though cut and dying, and from under its own death, it pulled through, and the whole world was excited by it, basically, right, enthralled in the wake of that demon. So there, it could also be that the demonic force was defeated, or this conglomeration, given this great power and authority, was defeated for a time. It was nearly wiped out, but then it came back to life. Okay, and one of its heads, as though cut and dying, and from under its own death it pulled through, and the whole world was enthralled or excited by it in the wake of that demon, right? Of that inhumane creature that gave this certain ruler his power, his authority, his throne, etc. And the people, they worship the dragon or the devil, right? So they're not of God. They're ungodly. They had their own form of belief, right? Probably pagan idols, etc., etc. Since it gave authority to that demon, okay? They worship the devil because it gave its authority to that demon. It came through that demon, and who could do battle with him? Okay, who could beat it?